Welcome back. It is time to finish the off-season outlook, and the outlook for what's going to happen with the season, it's still unclear. But I've seen questions, so I'll mention this now. The reason I've done the off-season outlook videos is I've done them. A, we're in the pause, so it's coming up with what we might see in the off-season, and B, we know that it's going to be likely a squashed summer. Whatever they do, it's going to be squashed together. So I want to make sure I've got these out of the way rather than trying to do them during the summer and having just so much material all coming at me at once. Because once that pause is over, once whatever they do is over, we're going to see a quick return to, it won't be business as usual on the ice, but off the ice it will be, where GMs are going to be making trades. They're going to be signing free agents. They're going to be drafting players. We're going to see all this stuff going on. And so playlists like this, I may not end up having a whole lot of time for that because it could be crazy. Once the sports world gets back going on some level, they figure out some way to make it work, things could go completely bonkers. So Anaheim is where we end, as I went in reverse alphabetical order for this. And their season at the pause, 29, 33, and 7, 67 points. Last season, 35, 37, and 10, 80 points. And the year before, 44, I should say, 25 and 13 for 101 points. And we knew they were getting older, and then all of a sudden, and they're old. It just, I don't know. And so we've gone into this, it feels like a retool. It doesn't feel like a full-on rebuild. And there's still some contracts there from the older guard, which of course would be Ryan Getzlaf. I don't have Getzlaf as the worst contract because it's up next year. So it doesn't feel like it's that bad that they have to carry that contract for the next year. I put Josh Manson there at 4.1 million because it's 2 more years and because there's been times where he's been pushed out of the top 6. So at 4.1 million, and you could put Goodbranson in there too, but Goodbranson makes 100 grand less, and Goodbranson, after getting to Anaheim, played pretty well. It felt like Goodbranson found a home there, and we'll see whether or not that's the case, or if it was just sometimes players get on a run when they first arrive with a new team, and then it peters out. But maybe Goodbranson's found a home there. Gibson's the best contract for me at $6.4 million until 2027. Normally, I don't like the long contracts. Normally, I'm very wary of the long-term contracts. But in this case, they've solidified their starting goaltender for 7 more years. And they've done it at a cap hit that's not outrageous. And as any Ducks fan will tell you, Gibson's a pretty special player. He's got a lot of talent and a lot of heart, and he would get a lot more consideration for Vezina if he played on a better team. Last year in particular, when they had the 80 points there, early on in the year, Gibson was the only reason they were respectable. And at certain times this year, again, respectability was due to Gibson's play. They haven't been able to score goals. This season and last year, scoring goals was a problem. But keeping it out of their nets, not as much, because they've had Gibson and they've had Miller. Now, the one thing with Ryan Miller is he's a UFA this summer. Odds are he's probably playing his last year. So if they say, yep, we're going to pull the plug, we're going to cancel all of it, then Miller's career likely ends there. And there's going to be some sad stories out of this where players' careers end all of a sudden. There's also going to be players who right now are in their prime who may look back 10, 20 years from now and say, man, I was in my prime and we lost that. So when I see people saying, oh, well, we can just cancel all this until everything's better, it's going to have a dramatic effect on some players, and it's going to have a dramatic effect on sports in general. But in the Ryan Miller sphere of things, odds are this is probably his last season, whether we've already seen that last game or not. Michael Del Zotto, Matt Irwin are 2 defensemen, depth guys who can be probably brought back for around league minimum. Restricted free agents, Sonny Milano, who has arbitration rights. Milano fit in really well with the Ducks after he got there. I thought it was a really good fit for him and for the team. And so I think there's going to be some mutual interest in him signing a bridge contract and being a part of this team going forward. Christian Juice, arbitration rights for him as well. Yes, it's one of the best names in hockey. Yes, it's nice to see him get his chance as well. I would imagine around league minimum, probably a 1 year or 2 year contract should keep him in the lineup, and he did look rejuvenated as a member of the Ducks as well. And Larson is an RFA this summer. There shouldn't be any problem keeping anybody. There are no big ticket items out there, which is good news for the Ducks. I think this year could be bottom. 29, 33, and 7, pacing out to about a 75, 76, maybe 77 point season. Yeah, this is probably the bottom, because I think things should start getting better next year. Now, again, remember, $74.7 million spent for next season, but on an entry-level contract, Trevor Zegras. Yes, Zegras is going to be playing for them, and by all accounts, special talent. In fact, I'll just go through the future watch here, which gets into the Zegras talk, because he's kind of the future for Anaheim, right? So this is, of course, the future watch. Pick up your issue if you haven't now. When does it say you can display it till? Normally they say display until. It may not, because this is the one that was mailed to me, so it doesn't give a display date. Zegras' passing skills were on display at the World Juniors with Team USA in his freshman season at Boston University. Zegras had several jaw-dropping assists among his tournament, co-leading 9 at the World Junior Championships. He's shown he can make a play with the puck while at top speed, a skill that's in high demand in the NHL. He's also listed as the number 2 overall prospect in here. Now, passing, who's he going to pass the puck to? Well, he's in luck. He's got some good young players he may be able to pass to. The question is, which one of these guys end up, does Sam Steele go to the wing and stay on the wing? Do we see Jones getting a chance? So when we get into the rookie watch, you've got to think their first round pick could be a really good one. Now think about this. Just think about this for a second. Okay, are you sitting? If you're Ducks fan, you should sit down. You win the draft lottery, you're drafting at number 1. You've now got Lafreniere and Zegras coming into the lineup in the fall. You're welcome. The idea of those two being together, absolutely insane. Even if they drafted Byfield or drafted Stützle, Zegras is going to be put together with somebody pretty darn good. Now, it's possible that with where they project to draft, they could end up drafting 8th or 9th or 10th. And then the later you draft, the more likely you are to get a player who's probably not ready for the NHL. But this 2020 first round pick could be somebody really, really entertaining, and it could really speed up this turnaround for them. Now, young players who are not technically rookies, but are still part of this mix with the Anaheim Ducks. Maxime Comtois, I like him. Yes, he sometimes crosses the line with his physical play, but I do like him. I think there's some sandpaper there that they need. Isaac Lundestrom, he's been kind of slow to get up to speed at the NHL level, but he's still young, obviously, and it's still early in his career. Josh Mahura, I have liked Mahura a lot in his call-ups. And I think if they decide to move on from Del Zotto and Irwin, if they find a taker for Manson, maybe Mahura ends up getting a top 6 role. Do like the kid. Brandon Gooley. Did Gooley this year finally start to show that NHL level talent that Buffalo fans had waited on? Like, he's been inconsistent, and so maybe that's finally there. For Anaheim, it kind of looked like towards the end of this that a lot of pieces were starting to fall into place. Sam Steele's the one I'm still watching. Sam Steele could still be the absolute ace in the hole for this team. If you have Zegras, you have Getzlaf, you have Steele, and if all of them are performing the way we know they can, whether it's Zegras passing to Silverberg, whatever Getzlaf's able to do as he gets older and advances through his career, it's gonna get very, very interesting for Anaheim. And Max Jones is kind of out there as I don't know, maybe Max Jones ends up developing into top 6. Yeah, maybe he busts out of the league. Who knows? This is one of the wonderful things about being an NHL fan is when you're going through these rebuilds or retools, however you want to view this for Anaheim. There are a lot of young players here. This is going to be a young team. The one qualifier with that is always when you have a young team, they're going to make mistakes. You're going to see a lot of mistakes from those young players. But I like what Anaheim's doing. I think it's been a solid retool of sorts, and I think we could see them back in the playoffs as soon as next year. That being said, we have a very, very tough division shaping up in the Pacific. The Pacific that's been seen as kind of the butt of the jokes in the NHL, even comparatively speaking with the Atlantic. I would say the Pacific has had probably the least amount of respect of the 4 divisions. I think that changes next year. I think we'll see Anaheim getting better. I think we'll see the Kings more competitive next season. They were 10-2-1 going into the break, so there's no reason to think the Kings aren't on their way up. And just in general, I think we're going to see a tightening of the division. I think we're going to see a pretty strong one, and I think the separation between the Central and the Pacific in terms of quality is going to disappear in the coming year. But we'll see. And for the Ducks, yeah, I'm kind of excited. And this is the first time that I've genuinely felt enthusiasm towards the Ducks in a positive manner in a long time. But I'll be interested to see which of these kids develop and which ones come through. And let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I wanted to put other guys on the rookie watch part of it, but there's not very many players that would be departing. So there's not very many spaces that are available. And there were a lot of guys who are probably going to need time in San Diego before they get called up. So I went with the two most obvious ones and wanted to discuss other players who aren't technically rookies, but they're still pretty young and there's still a lot of development there. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, remember, stay home if you can. Stay as safe as possible. And we will all get through all of this, and we will have sports to discuss, I would think, soon enough, sometime this summer, maybe in May. We'll see. But between now and then, I will be doing video goodness for all you fine people. Thank you so much for all your support throughout. It is greatly appreciated, and I will talk to you again soon.